Here's the first thing that every kid's heart needs to hear is this. Shocker, I love you. I love you. It really is powerful, y'all. I mean, actually, you think about relationships and all, the greatest commandment, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love. Okay, it really is. Here's the problem. Some of us grew up rarely or maybe never hearing, I love you. And actually verbalizing it and living it is powerful. It's powerful. When you verbalize it, it's very different. If y'all might just think with me about a dating relationship, maybe you can think back, or maybe if you're younger, you're right in the middle of it. But if you're in a dating relationship and in that date, maybe gone on several dates or whatever, and at some point, if someone in that dating relationship says at the end of the night, I love you. Oh, it's a game changer, isn't it? That relationship now just changed, okay? And we can see that it's very true. Let me just say this, it's also true in our families. And interesting with our families, we can presume that other people know we love. Well, of course, my kids know that I love them, right? I told them that I love them. It's like in marriage, right? I told my wife that I love her, and if it ever changed, I'll tell her again. Like, that doesn't work, does it? You need to keep saying, I love you. And it's very true. Let me just say this. It's not just my kids. Maybe it's, well, of course my parents know I love them. Really? Have you told them? Have you verbalized it? Of course my in-laws know that I love them. Whoever it might be, my brother, my sister, my spouse. Okay, let me tell you this. It's powerful. Love is felt when it's spoken and when it's experienced. It's both and. You need to say it and do it. You know, some people say it but don't do it as much. Some people do it, serve, live it, but they don't say it. And you really need both. You need to say it and do it. You need to live it. Unconditional love, I love you, secures the heart of a child emotionally, internally, so that they can become the person God's called them to be. And we all are hardwired to need that love. To be unconditionally loved makes you strong, not weak. It settles something in your life. It settles something in your identity. It gives you strength and it gives you peace. And when we don't get that solidified deeply inside of us, sometimes, it may be hard for us to admit, but we can spend our whole lives subconsciously, like you might not even be thinking about it, but you're driven to prove I measure up. I'm worthy. Way to go. Like, there can be something deep inside of you that, and how we work at work, how we perform. I mean, there's athletes, and I won't go into the stories, but there's some fascinating stories of athletes that were incredibly driven, but at the root of it was actually some dysfunction of I'm gonna prove something. And if we don't get that unconditional love, we're performing to prove something, to get something, to hear that well done. And Jesus, at the start of his ministry, he went to the temple at 12, and he was a carpenter, and at 30 years old, he's gonna kind of start his ministry. Do y'all know the very first thing he did? Very first thing he did. I mean, he's not preached one sermon, he's not healed one person, he hasn't called any of the 12 disciples and made his team yet. First thing he did is he went to John the Baptist and said, it's good and right that I would be baptized. And John's like, whoa, you should be baptizing me. And Jesus says, no, this is to fulfill righteousness. And Jesus was baptized. He goes down under the water. He comes up out of the water. And check this out, Matthew 3:17. A voice from heaven, his father, his dad, said, this is my son, whom I love. With him, I am well pleased. Y'all check that out. This is public, in front of a bunch of people. God didn't just think it. He said it. He didn't just feel it, he verbalized it, not even privately, publicly. This is my son. That's the first one. This is my son. We're gonna come back to that one. Number two, whom I love. I love you, son. See, God conveyed, I love you, son. I'm well pleased with you. He hadn't done one miracle, hadn't preached one sermon, hadn't recruited his team, nothing. Everything Jesus did flowed out of the security of being loved by his Father. And if God verbalized that for Jesus, who was perfect and sinless, I believe it did something for him. When someone looks at you now and says, I love you. This is my son. I'm pleased with you. It's powerful. It's powerful, y'all. And if God did that for Jesus, how much more do you and I need that? See, this is something I love. It settles something inside of you. Without that love, we'll be looking for love in all the wrong places, in too many faces, right? Like that's what we'll tend to do. And you may realize, if in your spiritual journey, I tell you, it sure happened for me. At some point you realize, like, I need that unconditional love. Like, I'll just tell you, for me, I graduated from college and was growing in the Lord, but God started digging deeper in my life. I just realized so much of my relationship with the Lord is based upon performance, and I want to please him, and I want to honor him, I want to do what's right. But when I do well, I feel like God's happy with me. When I don't do well, I feel like God's disappointed with me, which really isn't unconditional love, that's conditional love, based upon performance. So when I'm doing great, I feel great. I feel like God's happy with me. When I'm not doing well, I feel like God's not happy with me and I'm not doing well. And you may realize that you have a deficit of unconditional love from God. In fact, I'd ask you, like, do you continually receive that unconditional love from God? We need it continually. It's not a one and done. Check the box, true, false. Does God love you? That would be T, true. No, it's are you receiving it? Day in and day out. We can't give away what we don't have. Now, you may realize I have a deficit of unconditional love. In fact, you may say, Pastor Kendrick, if you knew my past, if you knew the family I grew up in, you'd understand. My situation's different. My situation's different. Can I just speak faith to you for just a moment? Is that your past does not need to define you. Your past does not need to define you. Let me give you a little spiritual principle out of a story. Let me give you a story. There was a friend of mine, and as a pastor, I get the privilege of walking with people through life, through their ups and their downs. And over the years, you can imagine, I've heard some pretty tough stories, some pretty heartbreaking stories. And this story is one of the, for sure, this friend of mine's story, like I actually heard before I was a pastor, her story was one of the most heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, traumatic. I'm not going to give you any details. It was brutal. I'll just tell you one thing. It was so bad growing up, so stressful, that my friend, she lost all of her hair as a stress response, which happens. I mean, it was terrible. I mean, she had every reason to grow up on drugs, dysfunctional, in prison, something, you know what I'm saying? And here she is, and I want to tell you, by the grace of God, she was one of the most healthy, happy, at peace people I've ever met. I learned more about how much my Father in heaven loves me through her than almost anyone. And here's the principle. God is a father to the fatherless. And I want to encourage you this. God will go out of his way. I looked at her life and I had this like, oh my goodness. She had like the most dysfunctional, messed up. Like she's got every reason to have totally wrong understanding about men and fathers and, and God said this, I'm going to go out of my way to show you how much I love you and how much I'm not like what you experienced. Now, this is what it takes for all of us, because let me tell you this, for all of us, that's true. Not just her, not just me, for all of us, what your heart wants and needs and what you experienced growing up in your family of origin, I don't care how great your dad was. May blessings, blessings, blessings. I hope you had a wonderful family life. But no matter how great your dad was, between what your heart wants and needs and what you experience, there's a gap. God sets us all up to need him. Now, it's an advantage to have a healthier family or a dad that really cared for you, invested in you, verbalized, whatever, yes. But let me just tell you this, because, let me just say, I just see this over and over, is we can end up feeling stuck, that I am where I'm at, and I just sort of feel stuck because of my past experience, because of what I went through. And it did impact you, but it doesn't have to keep you there. In fact, God will go out of his way to reveal his love, his care, his tenderness. And you need to acknowledge, Lord, I need that. My experience was not all of who you are. And that, again, let me just say this again. It's true for all of us, not some of us. It's true for all of us. But particularly, I'm speaking to those who had a tough upbringing, because I just see over and over people feel stuck. And I want to just say, God goes out of his way, above and beyond, but you need to position yourself to receive that which you did not receive through humans, through your dad. You have to, you got to position yourself. It's not going to magically drop. You got to go and go, Lord, okay, give it to me. And you need to taste and see that the Lord is good. You need to start reading the Bible and seeing from Genesis to Revelation a God who really loves you, cares for you. There's a God in heaven who loves you perfectly, passionately, more than any other person. And let me just tell you this. I'll tell you my experience. Like, when I first started following the Lord, y'all ever read those like Proverbs that says, the righteous he will bless, but the wicked he will curse and knock down and shred to pieces. You go, no, I'm the wicked, curse him, you're going to shred to pieces, And we have this lens that God's mostly mad and mostly sad, and he's not happy with me. And I want to tell you this, God wants to change that. He wants to change your view of who he is. See the love that the Father has lavished upon us, that he's called us children of God. Every scripture comes out of the heart of a Father who loves you perfectly, wholeheartedly, unconditionally. You can't make him love you more or make you love you less. He says, I love you.